Yeah, great tone setter tonight. Ryan Ammons pitched very well. Talked a lot about just point of emphasis of just attacking and throwing a lot of strikes, a relentless attack on the strike zone, and that's what he did for 5 straight innings and really kept our defense engaged in it. I thought our defense played very well, fundamentally sound. A couple of nice double plays. Web gem catch out in the outfield, but just very, very solid. And then offensively, felt like it was a great dynamic combination of speed and power, some fireworks with the home runs, 2, of course, by Blake, but the stolen bases, the extra 90s, the just applying pressure. So I thought just a complete game and a great tone setter, not just for the weekend, but for the season and for the way we want Clemson baseball to look and feel. And really appreciate the crowd and the energy and the packed DKS. So a lot of fun and just excited about Clemson baseball and the way we played tonight.
Any questions for players? Ryan, it's different getting ready to be a starter as opposed to being a reliever. But once you get out there on the mound, is it just baseball? Is it comfortable, familiar for you?
Well, what a job by freshman Jacob Gerald today. Really stepped up. Was one of the hardest workers on our team, and to see him thrive in his opportunity today, super cool to see Jacob out there and looking like a true vet out there when he was catching behind the plate.
Blake, I know you had a 2-home-run game last season against Miami, but how cool was it to do that today in the opener?
Yeah, it was just awesome to see DKS packed, and credit goes to the coaching staff and everyone who came up with a great game plan for us, and just to start. It was fun. It was fun to be back.
Did you realize you're the first player since 2007 to do that in a season opener?
No, sir.
What's that feel for you to in this environment, his first game as the coach, to come up big like that?
It's just awesome. It's awesome to be here. It's awesome to be back playing, and great feeling to get the win. Keep going.
Did you feel like your game, like again, the wind's kind of gusting out to the left a little bit, I might have a chance?
Not really. It's another game. Yeah.
Ryan, I noticed you're using the weight there in between innings. Is that something new for you, or have you always done that?
It's just something Belly decided be a good idea for some of the pitchers who can't or trying to get ready in between innings, stay ready. Last thing we want to do as a pitching staff is to have a really quick inning and come back and sit down and kind of get relaxed. So it was a good idea from Coach Belly to decide to be able to pick up and stay loose in between innings.
Like 6 walks, just 2 strikeouts, the aggressiveness that you showed. A little different mindset for the hitters this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're on the go. We're on the attack. We're going to take bases, and we're going to do anything we can to get in scoring position and score runs. So.
Have you ever been a part of a game where there's 11 stolen bases?
I have not, no. So it was awesome. Good start.
Did you guys see something in the catcher, the pitcher, the way that they were coming to the plate? You said, yeah, we can be aggressive against this guy?
For sure. It's just our mentality. As soon as we got there, we knew we were on the attack, and we're going to take bases, and we're going to score runs. That's how we play. It's Clemson baseball.
Ryan, as a pitcher, kind of put yourself in their pitcher's shoes. How much pressure does that put on you when the other team's able to steal bases the way y'all were?
Well, I think it's all about throwing strikes, being able to pound the strike zone. And I felt like our whole entire staff did that today. And that was the reason the guys that came after me gave us a chance to win later in the game. So.
Any other questions for the players? All right, thank you, players. We'll just keep seeing.
Good job, fellas.
Thank you.
All right, questions for Coach? Coach, just obviously you've been here since last June, but to finally get this first W, what does this mean for you to come out here and get this first W as a Clemson head coach?
There's been so many great teams and so many great coaches. It just feels great to just add to, this storied program. And, I just feel like we've got deep roots here and, got the opportunity to start coaching here. And so just want to, it means an awful lot to me. And I care a lot about this place and about Clemson and the C and the Tiger Paw and Clemson baseball, of course, and just want the program to be awesome. And I think Clemson baseball rightfully belongs on top of college baseball. So it's more about just doing everything in our power to make sure Clemson baseball restores itself where it belongs and get this program to win its first national championship. But it's days like today, and it's all the preparation in between that will allow that to happen.
You've drawn this one up any better. I mean, you play extremely clean game, no one walk given up by the pitchers, and only 3 strikeouts by the batters, no errors, and then you hit the long ball too.
Our guys, all the credit goes to them, and I told them I was proud of them. It's one thing to talk about the way we're going to do it. It's another thing to go out and execute it, and I thought they were outstanding tonight in all phases, pitching, defense, offense, and just a mindset that just they were going to apply pressure and be on the attack, and that's what it looked like.
Is this how you imagined this day would be when you were building up to it, that it would be this way, this atmosphere, that kind of game?
The crowd was awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was envisioning, because 21 years ago, the crowd here was hostile, and playing here, being in the other dugout, which was not a fun experience for three years at Maryland, but we were here in 2011, and that was coming off the World Series year, and the crowd was even more hostile. And so I just, I envision Doug Kingsmore Stadium, when teams leave here, they're saying, that's the toughest place we've ever played. That environment is so hostile, man. We don't want to go back there. And so it was great to see a packed house or close to packed house. But I know there's so much more, and we'll get this place rocking for sure. I think play like that, people want to come watch.
Eric, with the stolen bases, like y'all aren't still in 11 a game, obviously last year at Michigan. I mean, that's just not. I'm sorry, that's just an aggressive mindset. It seems like that y'all had tonight that isn't necessarily always how you coach. Is it the speed on this team? Is it just wanting to have that mindset to come out and kind of do it from the start?
I think you try to weaponize an offense to score runs. You never want to be one-dimensional. You don't want to only rely on the long ball. You don't want to only be a bunt run type team. You want to be able to do it all. And so for a lot of times that's just, either taking what the opponent gives you, taking what the conditions of the field or the ballpark give you. And tonight it was the conditions were favorable for the long ball, and it just so happened that we were able to capitalize on the base pass with the stolen base. So we always will run an offense. The running of the offense is about a run-scoring offense. And so we just always want to weaponize our guys to be able to be dynamic, to score in multiple ways. And when you can do multiple ways, you can run and hit the long ball, that usually is conducive for double-digit scoring and high offense. And so, and it's, because of the conditions, we didn't want to back off either, and they were putting a little pressure on. They had runners on there late, and it's just, a fly. You didn't have to hit a fly ball very hard tonight to get it out to left. So we felt like we needed to keep the pedal down the whole game, and luckily we were able to do that with the stolen base and some timely hits and some big hits.
A couple of weekend starters came out of the bullpen tonight. What does that say about the competitiveness of this pitching staff?
Yeah, I feel like, I've talked a lot about the depth of this team. And there's a lot of depth on that pitching mound. And for 2 starters, Nick Hoffman and Nick Clayton, to pitch in relief tonight is a testament to that depth. And we got a lot of guys who have some young guys. We have 2 sophomores in the rotation the rest of the weekend, and another sophomore and a freshman that are also right there. And so it just speaks to the physical talent on this roster and the way these guys have developed. We've got a support staff here and a strength and conditioning program and a lot of things that are second to none. So these kids are very lucky to have the resources and the facilities that they do and the support they have administratively, so that they can really maximize their potential. And that's what this is about. Talk about team success being defined as, did you reach your potential? Did the team reach its potential? Did each individual reach their potential? And, there's no excuses. We're not lacking anything, and when we play well, we feel like we got a chance to win.
You have an update on Cooper, or are there any other guys that are kind of banged up right now?
Yeah, a few guys banged up. Corbett was still kind of nursing a high ankle sprain, and Willie T still kind of coming back. I was yelling at him to stay at first on the double. But Cooper will be in there tomorrow, and but yeah, I mean it's they're all short-term stuff, so don't feel like it's anything that's going to hold anyone out long-term.
You talk a lot about Kate Bryce's power, but not leading him off. Why is that in the slot?
Yeah, I mean he'll probably be in the 2-hole tomorrow, but just like him up early, the leadoff spot, for a guy like him, maybe he gets a first pitch fastball to lead off the game. We had a kid at Michigan that led off named Jordan Wogu, and when you have that power speed threat and a guy who, up until Caden's last 2 at bats, I thought he did a really good job with his plate decisions and laying off some pitches. You saw him put the ball in play with 2 strikes, and know he had a couple of strikeouts there at the end, but just feel like he's a guy that we want to get more at bats too, and hitting in the top of the order, maybe get an extra at bat here or there, but also when you're hitting in the top of the order and you got a chance to drive a ball to start the game. And I think as an opposing pitching coach, I defer to Coach Bellinger a lot of times, and he talks about who it's tough on our team to call pitches against. And, it's just that it's the threat of if you miss over the middle, he's going to hit it out. And so it's just gets maybe people a little tentative about how to pitch to a guy when he's got that power threat. And so, we try to design the lineup so you have, maybe different. You got a guy like Blake Wright that super aggressive hitting in the 3-hole, but he's sandwiched between maybe a couple of guys who are a little more patient and see more pitches, and then a guy like Corbett, super aggressive, early swinger, with a guy like Chad Ferry who goes deeper into counts. So it's just, trying to be a little bit, pretty thoughtful and intentful of constructing a lineup. And tomorrow's will be different than today. We'll have a couple more new guys in there too. But we feel like, again, we've got depth, just like we have depth on the mound. We have depth in the position player group as well. And so, that's going to be a challenge for us, is getting all these guys the reps that they need. But, it's great to turn them loose and let them see them run and see them swing and play as fundamentally sound as they did tonight, with the explosiveness as well.
You told us the other day that you didn't expect Cooper to be behind the plate every game, but had to feel good to see Jacob play the way he did.
Yeah, and he's been doing that all fall. Jacob's been a freshman who's not a freshman. He's more mature than a freshman. He's an older soul kind of kid, and it's more just getting him to talk more and assume that leadership role. And he got voted by his teammates as a rising leader in the underclass, so I think he knows he's kind of needs to step into that vocal role more, especially with the position he plays. But the ability, from an ability standpoint, there was never a question about that, and he's made a lot of strides with his receiving, and that's a position where we prioritize receiving over everything because it happens the most. But to see him get his first collegiate hit as a home run, as a reward for a kid who works extremely hard. He was also voted a rising, well, he was, yeah, like I said, he's voted rising leader because of his work ethic. And, have the guys rank who they think, or vote who they think are the hardest workers on the team in certain areas. And, so he's always a guy that people point to when they talk about him as a guy who works extremely hard. So it's great to see guys get rewarded that work hard.
I guess for Ryan, obviously, the guy who used to be closer for Binghamton starting, to see him on pitch count, or do you have to kind of lengthen him out, or where is he in terms of how many innings he can go?
he was on 80 pitches tonight, and we just felt like 5 innings was good. He didn't get to 80 pitches, but that was his limit tonight, and 5 innings just kind of felt right. Didn't feel the need to extend him at where the game was at that point. But yeah, he can build up, But you're right, he hasn't started since high school, so we'll have to be pretty thoughtful in how we progress him and do so gradually. He's not gonna throw 100 pitches next weekend. But it's great seeing him out there because he's such a competitor, and it means so much to him to wear Clemson on his chest. And he talks about that, just being from Easley and lifelong Clemson fan. And, it's just his care level is so high. So to see him transition to a starter role and take it in stride, saying whatever's best for the team, those are the foxhole guys that you just, go to war with any day. And, it's easy to cheer for those guys.
How did you think he handled that third inning when he got a little bit of a hole, but how he handled it there at the end?
We knew he would find a way out of it. He doesn't seem to be a kid that gets rattled, and even if he gave up a run, we knew he would respond. And there was only that one inning where he actually even allowed base runners. So to 4 out of 5 innings to have 1, 2, 3s. Pretty awesome response and kind of what we expected, just because he's a guy that in the fall, his worst inning in the fall a few times was the first one, just because he was learning the starter role, and it was he's used to, hey, go get ready in 5 minutes, and now he's got 50 minutes, and so it was just more of learning that routine. But as he's learned it and as he's settled in, we found that he gets better as the innings go on. So, it's college baseball, it's metal bats, it's, hitterish type days like today. There's good players and, people are going to score runs, but he's not a guy that's seems like he's going to be rattled or phased, and if he gets knocked down, he'll get right back up because that's the type of kid he is. Yeah, that was great. Cam Canarella inserted himself into the lineup from the start, from the jump, from day one. He just has a knack for putting the bat on the ball. He's kind of like Cooper Ingle in that regard, just an elite hand-eye skill and bat-to-ball skill, and makes very good plate decisions for a young kid. It's one guy that Coach Bellinger said of everyone on our staff, it's tough to pitch to him, just because it's hard to find holes to attack. He can cover the whole plate, and there's not many guys who can truly cover all 17 inches. And he's got the ability to put the barrel on the ball, and he's another kid that always seems to stay centered. He always gets back to neutral, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and so he's we felt really good about him. What was different is moving him to the outfield. And that was a result of Will Taylor still coming back from the knee, and we had a collision in the outfield. We had Corbett sprained his ankle, so we had, in the course of like a week, we had 3 outfielders out, and this was like 2 weeks ago, and we just said, hey, Cam, go out there and take fly balls, and he's such an athlete. He's that's what he is. He's an athlete out there, and he actually gets incredible jumps and reads on balls, so it's probably going to be hard to pull him out of center field. But yeah, he's a guy, and then Jack Crichton, that was probably a byproduct of, we knew he was doing very well offensively with all the metrics that we keep regarding plate decisions and quality contact and consistent contact. He was in the top 9 in the leaderboards and a lot of the things that we measure and value. So we knew we had to get him at bats, but I don't know if we anticipated an opening day start. So to see him put some good at bats together today was really cool. And Nate Hall's another guy he's another freshman that's going to be in there, and Leighton Lackey. We've got some good freshmen on this team for sure. But to see Jacob Jarrell get his first collegiate hit as a home run, that's for a kid that works as hard as he does, and really cool stuff.
What
What is it about Ryan's stuff that allows him to have such a high strikeout rate?
It's three pitches that have completely different movement profiles. So it's a fastball that has what's called induced vertical break, so it fights gravity really well. So a hitter swings in a spot, but the ball doesn't drop like the hitter is trained to think it's going to drop. It just kind of stays on that plane. He's got a slider that obviously goes to the side and drops a little bit, but then a split finger that drops, and he throws all of them with, full effort. It's not like he slows his arm or delivery or anything on any of his pitches, and throws all three of them for strikes. So it's tough when you're facing a guy like that that's a strike thrower that's got three pitches that all can get swing and miss in the strike zone and out of the strike zone. It's just, and then you combine the character traits of that kid and what's in his heart and his chest, and and the toughness that guy has. I mean, that's the type of tone setter we want at the beginning of the weekend. Not finish. I mean, love to have him in all the roles, but we just felt like he was most valuable setting the tone on the front end of a weekend.
Pinch ran for Taylor there in the eighth. I'm guessing that had more to do with easing Taylor back and not looking for the stolen base record.
Oh yeah, I was yelling at him to stay at first. But he saw that ball go down the line, and he hit it hard, so he knew it was a double and jogged into second. But I didn't know. I had no idea what the stolen base record was until Hennessy told me at the end of the game. I said, "Why didn't you tell me sooner? We would have tried to steal a couple more." No, we didn't set out to break any stolen base records. It was just we saw as the game went on that was an opportunity. We were trying to get a big lead to see a pickoff move. We didn't see any pickoff moves, so we started running, and catcher, a couple of tough throws for him, and we were able to just capitalize on it. So we kept going to it, and just one of those things where it's like in football when you run a play and it works, and you run it again and it works. You just keep running it till it doesn't work, and and that's kind of what we did.
Austin Gordon making his first start tomorrow. Didn't play a whole lot early as a freshman last year, but what have you seen from him that earned his starting spot on Saturday?
Consistent growth and improvement. He's a guy that he's getting stronger. He's putting on weight. He's developing his stuff. He's always had good command. He's a freakish athlete. I mean, he's one of our best infielders, along with one of our best pitchers. Just a tremendous athlete all the way around. So just the mind-body connection, being able to do things, multi-sport, just one of those guys. If we were all playing pickup basketball, he'd be doing 360 dunks, and he's just blessed. He's touched by God as you're going to be a super athlete, and that's what he is. And so for him, some of these athletic movements come a little bit easier, and now he's starting to blossom and fill out, and his stuff is really good, and I'm sure it's his first start, he's got his whole team behind him, and he sees the defense that we have behind him, and so I know he'll have a lot of confidence and trust in them.
Anything else, Coach?
Just that the pitching staff would walk and the bullpen.
What's that?
Just allowing one walk as a pitching staff, just I'm guessing that was.
Yeah, Coach Bellinger, every message he sends on our group me or team accounts, it's always followed with the best pitching staffs and best pitchers in the country consistently pound the strike zone. Like, we all have it just ingrained in our minds. He's ingrained it in every single player, coach, staff member, and it's just we all have completely, everybody knows the importance of throwing strikes, but when it's just reinforced all the time, and every bullpen immediately after they get their strike percentage is posted for the whole team to see, it becomes a competitive thing that they're all chasing the standard, which is 64% strikes, and then they see who the leaderboard is. It's awesome. It's simplistic genius type stuff, and our pitchers have totally bought into it, and it's going to be fun to watch. I can speak personally as a position player who's played infield and outfield. It's fun to play behind pitchers who consistently pound the strike zone, and keep you engaged and get you action. You know, and our pitchers have done a great job of buying into that philosophy. And one of Jimmy's superpowers is knowing how to call the game and read swings and make adjustments. And he's a tremendous pitch caller. And so, you know, so between, you know, his coaching philosophies, the players buy into it, the pitch calling, the catcher, the defense, everything, it's, you know, it's championship baseball.